Somewhere in the land of South Africa lives a girl named Kanye. She knows how to drive. She's outspoken and a true definition of my world, my life, my rules. Has the best career path. But only to find out that she has a life together because of the motivational videos on YouTube. She drives because her friend group requires it. She gets her My Life Rules inspiration on Twitter. And her parents chose her career path. Sheesh, that sounds to me like a scripted life. Do you live according to someone's script? Where do you stand? Find out on this heated topic on the Woman to Woman show, Scripted or Unscripted, this Friday at 3 p.m. Coming up on today's show.
That's where my mother found out my child is not as innocent as she looks. Yo, I've seen nothing. You see, because I was a decent crook, everywhere that I went, I would find a sneaking place to always do my things. So
I promised you it was the last show, but it would be very exciting.
Eager to know more? Well, let's stay tuned.
We are women. We are brave, strong, capable, unique. We are Women to Women.
Good afternoon, South Africa. Here we are for our last show of the month of June. We have celebrated the youth in South Africa. Actually, we have celebrated the future of South Africa throughout the month of June. But I am sure that among the topics that we brought, mature audience has also enjoyed, as you're going to enjoy today. Because though we are going to be talking about something that trends among the youth, you might find out that it has been happening to you. Today we have purpose to speak about unscripted, scripted life. What is it? Let us try to break and make it more accessible for your understanding. The youth, to be creative, they say, we are going to live on our own terms. We are going to live according to our own rules. We are not going to follow rules already determined by others. We are going to live an unscripted life. So today we're making a reflection with these two girls who, in the past, they have lived unscripted lives. And you're going to be surprised that when you think, my rules on my terms, my body, my rules, I do what I want, you might not actually be doing all that you want. You might not actually be creative as you think. The freedom that you have might be determined by someone else. Shall we start? Good afternoon to you. Welcome, Faye. Welcome, Tandu. And we are going to hear their stories. Tell it all. Who was Faye before? The decent crook.
Yes.
Yeah, that's how she called herself.
I was a decent crook until my mother found out. And then my decent crookness was for everyone who knew my mother and who, like, my community as a whole.
So when you say you were a decent crook, first of all, at what age did you start acting out?
From grade 7, so I was like 13.
13. You decided you would live according to your own rules.
I decided I needed to stand out. Everything that I do. Also, the fact that I liked attention, too much attention. So I was an attention seeker everywhere I went. People needed to see me. I needed to make an appearance. Everywhere that I go, there needs to be a name. Faye was here. So,
were you following rules?
If those rules, they sum to my rules, then okay, I can. But if it's out of context of my rules, then, and I'm going to be contained, I won't be able to get the attention that I need. then let's break the rules. It's fine.
It's fine. So when you would hear, you come to that, would you understand and say, no, I cannot do that?
When they say I cannot do it, why can I not? So I needed to do it in order to know why I shouldn't have.
You would intentionally do what you should not, just to understand why.
Yeah, why can I not do it? I would.
What kind of life did you have? Tell us.
It's because I was seek attention, so I would dance. I was really good with dancing. Anything that gives me attention.
I saw in Soweto, by the way, June 16.
So anything that calls attention, if it means I have to sing in order to bring attention to me, then I have to. So I learned to extend my talents so that I bring attention to me. So I would dance. I would even drinking. I drank not because I enjoyed, or I smoked before because I enjoyed. I didn't understand why I did all these things or why I smoked. I didn't even understand the order.
At the age of 13, you decided you would rule your own life. No one would tell you what to do or not to do because you had your own rules.
Yes.
So you started dancing. Where would you dance at the age of 13?
So mostly I started at school.
School.
Yes, I started at school when there are events and stuff, or they open a circle, and then I'm like, oh, an opportunity, yes, got it. And then, it extended. When I went to high school, then we got exposed to, oh, you can have a boyfriend, okay.
So then you were dancing, drinking, smoking,
Yes.
and now high school boyfriends.
Yes. Then boyfriends became. Now I realized, okay, because I'm doing all this, I'm getting drunk and stuff. Let me pause or slow down, and then add more boyfriends. Because now I'm getting benefits out of it, so it's better.
What benefits?
It depends on what I want. So if for this one I get airtime, for this one I get, someone also promised me a car.
Did he give you the car?
I was close, then I converted. But it was along those ways.
How long did you live that kind of life?
Because from 13 to 20, so it's approximately 7 years.
7 years.
Yes.
How would your parents deal with that? Because it's important to mention that both of them grew up in the church. They had principles from the church, but they were doing nothing that they would learn in the church. So how would your parents deal with that? Did they know? Because you call yourself in the past a decent crook.
So my mother, let me just summarize how she found out I'm a decent crook first, for her to adjust to that.
Up to now, I'm not seeing any decency in here anyway, yeah?
So I used to cover up my tracks. I was very good at that.
For instance,
Let
us teach them what not to do.
Okay. Just so you know, we see you. Because we've done it. So I would, because my mother used to go out with my father and my cousins, my older cousins, unomakoti wasendlini, you see, all of them would go, and then I would time them. So if first for me to even know how to do that was to time them for the whole week. Okay, they come around 2, around 3. So I must be back around 12. Latest 1. So I would buy a lot of sweets for my baby sisters so they understand. Or make sure they sleep. I'll bully them to sleep.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's time to sleep now. And then make sure that they are asleep. But there's always one who's always speaking. Why are we forced to sleep? that's where I had to, my baby sister that follows after me, I had to explain to her, smooth talker. Okay, this is how it happens. So you cannot tell my mother, cannot tell mom. And if she comes and finds out, if you say something, she will hit you. And then after, I will continue where she left.
Threats.
I would threaten her. So she was obligated not to say anything, even if she saw it.
And it would go well with your
Would
timing.
go well until my mother came at a time where we weren't expecting her. And Mina was expecting her to come 3 o'clock. So on that day, I extended. I'm like, okay, because it's nice here with this guy, so I'm going to extend.
Where had you been all these outs you had?
I'll always find a place to hide. You see, because I was a decent crook, everywhere that I went, I would find a sneaking place to always do my things. So
I promised you it was the last show, but it would be very exciting.
So everywhere that I went, there was always this sneaky place. Back then, for when my mother found out, there was a place upstairs in the roof where there are drums, they keep the hot water. Stuff. So when we went there, there was a whole, like an empty space. There I saw an opportunity. Oh, this is where no one goes. And it would be dark when I get here, so perfect.
And your mom came earlier.
So she came early and asked my baby sister where I went. My baby sister was afraid of what I would do to her if she said anything. So she said, I don't know. She got a beating, a small beating, because she honestly was sincerely crying out, I don't know. So they wouldn't do anything to her. And then my mother went out, because it was a flat, and stood there and waited for me. And I was there climbing down the stairs, and it was those visible stairs that they would see. Luckily, because
So she went to the door of the flat and not to the door of the building, because she would have missed you.
Yes, so she was looking out the window because she knew she can't be outside of the flat. She's somewhere. So I would sit there and in her mind, when I put myself in her shoes, I will wait for her and I will see her. And she saw me walking down the stairs, and I was sneaky, and I didn't even have my shoes on. I was carrying them by hand. And you could see that this person is sneaky. This person is trying to hide this. Luckily, for her not to see who the guy was because I always told him, you need to follow after me after 20 minutes. So
You
have
had
to
all
wait.
planned.
Yes. You have to wait 20 minutes for me to enter home, relax, and find...
So he was staying in the same building.
Yes. So after that, that's where my mother found out my child is not as innocent as she looks. I've seen nothing. So even when she spoke to me, she would advise me not to do this. No, this is not how you do this. She even advised me to protect myself, like for protection and stuff. She was beating about the bush because she knew my child is not innocent. I don't even know what she's doing behind my back. But to the community, to everyone.
How
was
was
an
your
example.
behavior in the church?
In the church,
Before, of course, they found out who you really were.
in the church, I was a vibe. That's all that matters. As long as I keep the vibe, no one would ask a lot of questions. In fact, my tribe leader, as long as I brought people, he wouldn't ask a lot of things.
Is your tribe leader around? Or what? The tribe leader on that time, was he around? Is he around?
Yes,
He
is. So,
He's actually posting right now a video of you at the YPG in those days, isn't it?
I hope it doesn't post it.
No, he will.
So,
Ne, Pastor Vini?
so as long as
So you knew how to behave but you were actually breaking all the rules. You would come, hear the word, make your commitments in the YPG, pretending you were a good girl, but deep inside,
I knew I was.
you didn't want to follow any of those rules.
Yes. And because I had also anger inside of me. I grew up with a lot of anger. I was a bully in some way, in an innocent way. So everyone who came, most of the times came because they had no choice but to come.
So we would bully them to come to church.
Yes. Yes, they must come. And I also feel like I led a lot of people out, like, to destruction when I think about it now. Now that I'm in the faith, because I would even convince them, it's your body, you know. They need to see how beautiful your body is. There are people who are body shamed. Instead of me encouraging them to feel welcome, to feel loved, I would tell them, you know what? Shame them more. You must come here with dressed like in the way that they didn't want you to wear. The way that...
So you were not following any rules, and you were encouraging them not to follow any rules.
Yes. And I would tell them, God, my God, I praise, is a God of no impossibility. So anything is possible. You can do it. Because I was in the church and I grew up here in the church, I had principalities of the church. So these things that they taught me, you can do it as long as you have
But
faith.
you would use it, twist it, to do what you thought it was thing. So when we say, with God all is possible, you would use this verse for your wrong things.
Yes. Like, you can do anything everywhere. And when say anything is possible, that means I can get anything I want.
It doesn't matter how.
It doesn't matter how or from who or how I got it, as long as I got it. And that's what God said. You will get it.
I'm shocked. I'm in shock. So I think that's why she's saying that she was a decent crook, because at home everybody, because you mentioned that you were an example in the community, because you will pretend to be an example. You will pretend to be a good girl, but planning what to do when your parents are not around. And there are many who live like this. Many parents do not even know what their children are. They can even, protect their children and say, not my child. My child is not like that. But they don't know what is going on behind the door, behind the closet. Because many children nowadays live like this, the way she lived before. They pretend to be nice. When the parents are around, they are good. They even clean. I believe you would do that, because I know people who are like that. Clean the house, cook, help in everything.
I wouldn't miss that. That's the first thing I needed to do, because my mother does not have any stress as long as you did everything at home. So I would make sure I cooked. I make sure I cleaned. I even teach my baby sisters, before you do anything, I used to teach my baby sisters, before you do anything, before you ganga, share yonke into right and clean.
Before you go and mess up or become naughty, leave everything in order in the house. That's what she said.
Yeah,
all right?
to cover her tracks.
Yes, to cover her tracks. And many are like this. As you said in the beginning of the show, Miss Masa, that this show, we are with the youth, but it can teach parents as well. For them to open their eyes as well, to learn that the kids sometimes are not as innocent as they think.
And some adults here, I'm afraid that it is fitting to some adults as well. That's so interesting, because we have been doing the shows for the youth, but I am sure in different ways. Our mature audience has also been enjoying a lot. So you're going to talk a little bit more about your no more decent, now just crookedness. Tandu, Tell us a little bit about the story.
Okay, I was also like her. I was pretending.
Also grew up in the church.
Yeah, I grew up in the church, like since Sunday school. I grew up by the principles of the church, everything I knew. But then when I got to high school, grade 8 and grade 9, that's when it all started. I was a pretender. At home, I was someone else. At church, I was someone else. And at school, I was someone. At church, I was even a tribe leader.
3 personas.
Yeah. At home, I used to be that. Okay, I'm not that loud person. I'm not someone who's thin. Yeah. So at home, I used to continue being like that, like to hide my secrets, like no one should know. My young sister, we are very close with my young sister, so she could see that there's something that is wrong with you. So she knew, but she didn't tell my father because I grew up with my dad. My mom passed a long time ago. So I used to live with my sister, my dad. My dad knew me as a good girl. I used to do everything in the house because I was the eldest. Though I was young, but I was the eldest at home. So I used to do everything at home and everything like that. Just okay. At church, I was going to fulfill my duties as a tribe leader, lead other youth, but then when I get to school, I'll become a totally different person, like even my friends, some of them didn't know that I was going to church. So I was trying to please them. I wanted to fit in. I wanted to be like them. I just wanted to live my way, my rules, my life. I was just someone else because I started drinking, even though I didn't like drinking. I was just doing for the sake of doing, for the sake of fitting in, for the sake of I want to see what will happen if I don't do this. Because at church we were taught don't drink. At home I was taught don't drink. But then what if I drink? What will happen if I don't drink? What will happen if I drink as well? So I wanted to see what bad will come out from that drinking. So I did that. I went to parties because of course at church there were night vigils. I used to, during the night vigils, I'd know who'd say, okay, next Friday is a night vigil, then that's my chance to go clubbing. That's my chance to go partying. And my parents knew that I was in the night vigil, but then Mina, I'll be somewhere else.
How old were you?
I was 15, around 15,
How
16.
would you go in the clubs? Because there is an age restriction.
18.
Some clubs, they just allow. Some clubs, they just allow. Yeah, there's no restrictions, they just allow. Or sometimes if we go to a club that has age restrictions, we would pay. To answer, I would pay. Yeah.
You would bribe to go in.
Yes,
That's the right word.
yeah.
That's the right
we
word,
would
bribe.
bribe to pay the security so that you can enter, then you can do our stuff inside.
When did your parents or your father find out?
He found out, okay, as I said in the beginning, that at home I was that reserved child doing everything. But then there was a moment when I used to neglect my duties. I was more focused on my friends. So at home, I used to neglect my duties. I didn't cook anymore. I didn't spend time at home anymore. I would wake up, go to school, come back late, with my school uniform, late at night. Where did you pass? I was at church. Well, at least I was not at church. Mm-hmm. So I started to neglect my duties at home, spend less time at home. Like sometimes if I'd go home, I would go home, change my uniform, then go out again. I would come back 11 o'clock. And then when my dad asks, where were you? I would say I was with my friend. That's how I used to live. And then the church, at church, having a responsibility of people, because some youth knew me from school, some youth knew me from, we just meet along the way. So they would know, Tandu, you're a tribe leader, but then I saw you drinking. Because I used to attend the same school with another YPG member. So she knew me, okay, Tandu, you are like this, but at church you are like this. At school you are bullying me, but at church you are my tribe leader. How come? So by then I decided, you know what, let me leave everything. Let me just be myself. Let me just be a rebellious child. I started, in the church, I used to disrespect my mentors, I used to disrespect my mentors. When they tell me do this, I'll say no. Because I remember there was a time when, during the Ellis Park days, we were dancing. So I did something wrong. And my mentor said, you cannot dance because you didn't listen. And I said, okay. I said, okay. But I danced. I continued going. I danced. I didn't care. He will see me.
So again, if someone would say, you cannot do this, that is what you would do.
Yes, I'll do the opposite of what they were telling me to do.
Because both of you had in mind, I need to live by my rules.
Yes.
No one will dictate my script in life, right?
Yes.
But I have a question for both of you. When you established your own rules, I noticed both of you said the same thing. I was drinking, but I did not like it. So why were you doing? Do you realize you were actually following someone else's rules? You were doing things to fit in.
Yeah.
Which rules were these that you thought, let us help them, that they were your rules? They were the way you wanted to live life, and now you realize they were not actually your rules. You needed to do that to fit in. You needed to level with your peers. You needed to follow the trends of social media.
I thought having my own style was one of it.
But where would you get your style from?
No, I liked retro movies, so I would look at a lot of retro movies. And then I came out, let me just go vintage. And then until vintage became a style. And now, because now it's manipulated, because vintage was more of you get dressed a lot. And now it was manipulated to being more revealing. And I didn't realize I was falling for the trap. Because now I was more revealing. And I would actually come to church like that. I didn't mind. Now
But do you realize they were not your rules?
They were not.
Fashion changed it?
Even drinking. Drinking, I don't even understand how I started drinking. Because I grew up in a drinking environment and most of my family members drank. So I told myself, this is something I would never want for myself.
But then?
And then friends came and said, let's do it. And then, now I realized like it was only for them and it was their rules. Even smoking, Zol is not even, it doesn't even smell nice.
But you realize it was not your rules.
It wasn't.
So at the end of the day, you thought you were living an unscripted life, but it was well scripted by someone else. And you, Tandu?
Hey, Mina, as I said, I was a calm person, but then at that moment, I just became someone else. I was just wild. Like, I didn't even understand myself because this is not who I was. I was just living life like with no direction because in my mind, I thought I don't have a mom, so no one is going to tell me what to do. No one is going to judge me. No one is going to tell me what to do. I'm not their kid, so they will let me live my life. So that mentality, I became someone else. I became wild. Even my teachers at school, like, they were surprised because, okay, Tandu, when you came here, you were not like this. But then what changed? I was just someone else who I tend to be wild. I was just forward in jail.
Whom were you following?
I was following my friends. So
as a matter of fact, would you agree you were living their rules?
Yes, I was living their rules because my friends, okay, they were mostly guys. There were some of them were actually out of jail, So I used to like that lifestyle, that like
15, 16 years old?
Yes, they were also my age. They were from juvenile because of crime and everything. So I thought their life was cool. I don't know what was happening, but then I thought it's cool. So I started hanging out with them, doing their stuff that they're doing, and it was really bad.
And Tandu, you mentioned that most of your friends, they didn't even know that you come to church.
Yes.
Were you hiding it on purpose or?
I was hiding it on purpose because I knew if they know that I come to church, they will start calling me names.
And there are many who are like that. They are in the church. Sometimes they are even in the youth. They are youth members. They do wrong things in school, and they do not allow anyone to know that they are church members or they are Christians. Christians, actually, ne? Yeah. So
but
there are many.
You
who
know
live
why?
like that.
Because church does not pair with their rules. So to follow their rules, you cannot say you are from church. But at the end of the day, you're following someone's rules, not rules of your own. You wanted a style of your own. At least you know you were following someone's style that was changed.
Yes. And what also caught my attention from what she said some of her friends were from jail. I also had this thing. this fetish of the bad girl, bad boy type of vibe. So that would bring envy. Like, if they are smiling and they look smart and they are smooth with words, what if I'm like that? So yeah.
It was attractive.
Yes, it was attractive too.
Now, during this on and off, because of course, while we were coming to the church or even receiving family guidance that would oppose what you were doing, would you have some moments like reality check? I'm not happy. What am I doing of my life? I'm trying to convince myself that I'm okay, but deep down, I know I'm not. Would you have any fear for the things of God? And when you would stop and compare with what you were doing?
I would say I tried. First, I tried. For me to even get the armor, the YPG armor, it was because I was trying to get away from those ways. And then I was like, this is taking too much time. It's taking too much time. Let me just go and gaze back and try to check if anything has changed. And then I would fall back, backslide. And then, yeah, continuously try to find a way, because there are moments where you're alone and you're like,
yeah, those moments that I wanted
I
to
don't
know. What
deserve
would
this.
come to your mind?
like I don't deserve to live like this. I don't deserve, especially the fact that most of what I did wrong involved a third person, involved men. So I was like, no, I mean, it takes away my value.
You would have those moments
Yeah.
that you would be pushed in between what you knew it was right, what you received in the church, what you received from your family, but the kind of life that you are putting yourself into. Would you have that confrontation, self-confrontation?
I would. And I would maybe try it for a week. Try to be actually a good girl for a week. But the next week, it's fine. It's fine. This thing is too much pressure.
And you?
Yes, I also tried, because after going to parties, after drinking, then you come back, now you're alone, then reality starts to kick in. What am I doing? Is this really me? Because I know the truth. I grew up in the church. I have guidance from my family, my father, my mentors. And deep down, I knew that they are right. But then I didn't want to follow their rules. So when I was alone, after drinking, after partying, after doing all those bad things, I used to sit and think that, is this really worth it? Am I really that kind of person? Do I want to see myself like this in the future? Because I know if I turn out like this, if I'm going the way I'm going right now, I will totally destroy my future. I will destroy my life, because I really wanted, there was a moment, drugs. Yeah, I so badly want to smoke. I don't know why, but I really want to smoke that. And sometimes I have to think, if I smoke that, what benefit will I get? What will I gain? I was so at home when I was alone, I would think, no, man, this is not for me. But I didn't have the strength to leave that.
So something must have happened, because today you two come here not as decent or inappropriate or crooks. You have changed, right? And that you have to show, you will find out just after our break. Because today they are going to be a testimony of who they were and who they are today. So for you, Faye, 7 years. For you?
It was 2 years.
2 years, yes. From 15 to 17, 18.
No, it was 1 year, 15 to 16 then, yeah.
Then you got good.
Yes.
We are going to be right back.
Fear no kingdom, a prince with no peace. You've had your day, yeah, but today that's not me. 'Cause when I walk through the fires of life, I won't be afraid, no, won't be afraid, no. God, you walk through the fires with me, so I won't be afraid, no, won't be afraid, no. I lift my arms up, I cast my cares up with faith like a child, oh, no matter what, no matter what. When I walk through the fires of life, I won't be afraid, no, won't be afraid, no. Keep walk, 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 yeah. Keep walk, 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 yeah. So now we soldier on. Let love be the first and the last word on our tongue. Fight the good fight, push back the darkness, light up the night, light it up, light it up. When I walk through the fires of life, I won't be afraid, no, won't be afraid, no. God, you walk through the fires with me, so I won't be afraid, no, won't be afraid, no. I lift my arms up, I cast my cares up with faith like a child, oh, no matter what, no matter what. When I walk through the fires of life, I won't be afraid, no, won't be afraid, no. I can feel my soul getting freed now, laying all my burdens down, I'm free now, singing hallelujah, I'm redeemed now. I can feel my soul getting freed now, laying down my burdens, I'm free now, singing hallelujah, I'm redeemed now, hallelujah, hallelujah.
Welcome back. When we finish the first part of the show, we ask it, something must have happened for you to change. Tandu, what has happened?
Okay, as I mentioned the first part, that my friends were gangsters. So there was a moment at school where my friend got stabbed, and I was the first one to witness that. So that scared me because I was from the church. I knew there was hell, and I knew there is heaven, and I know there is hell. So I got scared. If I die, I would go to hell. And if I was stabbed, and what will I explain to my dad? What will I tell him? A lot was going on in my mind, and that's the moment when I decided I don't want this anymore. This is not for me. This was never for me. So I decided I'm just going to step back from this because I don't want this to happen to me, because they might have stabbed him, but what if something more could have happened to any one of us, or even me? Maybe they would stab me and die, or shoot me, because it was a very dangerous gang. So I just decided to know what, this is not for me anymore. That's when I left.
And what happened? Where did you turn to when you left that
Well, I went to
companionship?
The first thing that I did was to go to church. I started being committed in the church because I was a tribe leader, but then that moment I was no longer a tribe leader. But then I started spending most of my time in the church, because I knew if I don't spend most of my time in the church, at home I'll be bored, then I'll end up going back to my old friends. So most of the times I used to spend at church. On Saturdays I used to spend at church evangelizing with the youth, and that's how I lost interest in those bad friends and all those things that I was doing. I started engaging myself in the youth, in the things of the church, and that's how I got interested, and that's how I lost all that interest in doing bad stuff.
And then, how long are you back? But seriously, now for the first time, seriously in the church, following God's rules. How long is it?
since 2018.
5 years.
Yeah, 5 years.
5 years now.
Yes, 5 years.
During
living-
these 5 years, were you baptized in the water?
Yes, I was baptized in the water, and I was also baptized in the Holy Spirit.
So it really means that you surrendered your all to live according God's rules.
Yes.
Are you happy today?
Yes, I'm more than happy. I'm really happy because I know that my life is secure. I know that my life is safe. I know that my life is worth a living. My life has more value. I just know that I'm safe with God.
Now, Faye, what was your lower point?
Because I was an attention seeker, it became draining for me to always be trying to do something or trying to pursue an image in everyone's face, and everyone, particularly this one and this one, have to be like this.
It's very tiring to put up with an image that's not
It's
yours.
so much draining, and that
And
led
it
me-
proves that you were not living by your rules.
Definitely. Now that I think about it, that is the reason why I fell into depression, because, yeah,
So you fell into depression.
serious depression. Because in high school I attempted suicide, maybe I think twice, if I'm not mistaken. But because it is
What did you do?
The first time I walked slow in front, and there was a train. So I wanted Ikotengami once, like to finish off, because I know a train, when it passes, it's not gonna leave you into
Mincemeat.
Yes, it's gonna mismeet you. So
And
that,
what happened?
people were very much concerned.
Didn't allow you to.
I was so angry when they, hey, just get away from here. No, I'm like, okay, let me just move and walk fast as if everything was normal. The second one, I wanted to starve myself to death because I wanted a slow death. And
So your depression had, of course, any sort of depression has an evil spirit behind. But you had that desire for a painful death.
yes, because I've been working so hard, and in everything that I did my best. So it was so much, it had drained me so much because I did a lot for everyone.
Did you see any value in you after hanging with all these guys and having this?
That also drained me more, because now that when I sat and thought, this man took advantage of me and I didn't even realize. So that shattered me to the lowest point, because now the only thing I wanted to do is wake up, watch movies, whether it's not an inappropriate movie. Now that I say it, or now that I would have to watch it, but it didn't matter, as long as there's something playing in the background while I think, while I'm off somewhere in math.
You would not be going to school. You would not be working. You would not leave the house.
That time I had left work because I was working at a restaurant, and that also parted on what made me so drained, because my manager there, he like directly asked for sex. I'm like, am I that unworthy? Am I that cheap? And that in that instant, I just left. I didn't even say goodbye. I left and never went back to work. And when I sat at home, I was reliving that moment. Am I that unworthy? Am I that dirty? Am I smelling? What am I? So that led me to think, no, man, because I've tried to attempt suicide, God will not let me just go. So I will wait for my death. I will not do anything. I will not dream. I don't want to pursue any dreams. I'm just waiting for death until the youth assistants, they knocked on that door. I was so angry, and I don't know how my door, the gate was open. Anyone interrupting my moment when I'm at home, I don't want to be, I don't want to be sent to the shops. My mother knew, and she knew how bad that.
And you were quite moody, huh?
Very. My parents just knew she's at a point where you don't even speak to her. If she doesn't want to speak to you, don't speak to her. It's fine. If she doesn't want to wake up, don't lecture her. She's just going to look at you as if you are crazy.
And then the assistants knocked at your door.
They knocked at my door and they entered. I didn't even say, come in. Normally, people knock until they leave. I didn't even say, come in. And when I say, hey, it's my mentor.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny enough, in that moment when they knocked, I was thinking in my mind, God, this is the last I talk about you, the last that I think about you, the last that I mention even your name. You do not exist. I am tired of you. I am tired of your work. I am tired of pulling a face there. As in, it's finished.
I cannot be quiet. I need to stop and make here, open a bracket. You have made bad choices.
Yes.
You put yourself in a vulnerable position with guys partying, dancing, seeking attention. And I'm doing that because I might have someone there in the same state of mind. And in that moment of depression that you had to reconcile all that you put yourself through, you were fed up about God. You see how easy it is when we make our own choices, wrong choices. And of course, our choices will never work because we have proven that they are not really our choices alone. Someone is writing them for us. Now we turn against God and we say, God, I don't want to hear about you. God, I don't want to know about you. This is the last time that I speak about you. But in all these actions of both of you, God was not there because you excluded him from the occasion. You never thought about him, right? Yes. And what happened then? I have to, because maybe you are living the same. You're blaming God for your wrong choices. And you think, where is God? God is trying to help you. But, you're not giving the space. Ne? Like the two of them. Were you giving God the space?
No.
What happened next?
So immediately when I take that as a prayer. Now I take it as a prayer, but then it was a conversation as in, God, my contract between me and you is done. It's finished. So immediately when I said that, there was the knock when they came in and said, oh, we are here to visit you. It was a house visit. We are here to visit you. And I thought it was just the two of them. And then they said, come outside. And then, whoo, there's a lot of them. I was so embarrassed. They even called my tribe leader. I was so embarrassed. I was so shy. And all of them just smiled. I didn't even understand, why are they smiling? Like, why would you smile? It's not a beautiful day. Like, I didn't understand. Why did you even come? I didn't want. Like, why did you even come? And then I promised to come to one of the hangouts. I skipped the day that I promised because everyone was expecting me, and at that time the last thing I need was attention. So I skipped the first Sunday, then I came on the second.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just normal, and then they treated me normal, and then I realized I missed to be around in such an environment. That's what hooked me to stay.
Did you sign again your contract with God?
So,
yeah, because you never signed your part of the contract. It was only God trying to help you. Yes. Now this time, did you really turn yourself to God?
Yes, I did, because I realized that I was lost, because at first I was Mrs. Know-it-all, because I realized there's a lot I don't know. There's a lot that I was trying to hide from, especially the fact that I myself had angers, my own angers, and all of that was built, all of that I did was built out of that. So that's how reading the books, my mentor advised to read the book, one book that really worked on me. Then I also bought a book, my own self. I was so proud of myself that someone is growing. She's even going to the bookshop. And that on its own motivated me to finish the book. And
Which book was that?
it was Winning Your Battles by Faith,
Winning Your Battles by Faith.
which
You really needed to win the battle.
yes, it showed me the tricks of the devil, and it made me realize all that was happening was because maybe I was becoming a threat to the devil, and he was posing all these opportunities. That made me realize that, and yes, I got converted.
Did you get baptized?
I got baptized in the water and in the Holy Spirit.
How long are you serious in this contract with God for life?
It's been since 2021, so it's been
2 years.
And you see something, Miss Master, that both of them, they are baptized in water and in the Holy Spirit. And in the beginning, when you were asking questions, I was just listening to them that they would feel remorse. You know, just having remorse is not enough, because it's only the Spirit of God that can enable you to change, to be transformed. They were transformed through the Holy Spirit. Because in the beginning, you were asking, were you feeling bad at times? And they were like, yeah, sometimes I would feel bad, you know, like, why am I doing this?
Change it for 1 week.
Yes, and then you change for 1 week. That is remorse. So remorse does not help. That's why people need the Spirit of God, because it's the one that enables us even to overcome the temptations that we go through.
And we are in the fast of Daniel. Maybe you haven't started it. You haven't made your decision as yet. And you are there, like Faye, maybe seated at the couch, already planning to switch off this transmission because it's too boring, but you're not happy. You are not in peace. You faking to the point of saying, let me die by myself. I'm not going to even try anything. She didn't have courage even to attempt suicide again. Tandu got that shock of her life. It could have been me. And you are in this situation. This is why we are in the fast of the Holy Spirit. When we isolate ourselves from all secular information, from songs, from music, from entertainment, from friends, and we give ourselves to God. Look at the change of mindset after reading the book. What is the change of mindset when we feed ourselves from the rules of God and we see purpose and we see the results? Because I asked her, are you happy today? Are you happy today?
Absolutely. No doubt.
Would you go back to that life?
Never. Never. I wouldn't even risk going back. I wouldn't. Not in a lifetime. Not in a second lifetime. I will not give even an opportunity for that.
There was something else you had to let go. And people normally don't like to say about that. Were you able to keep on with the same friends?
No. That was the first thing we needed to eliminate. The first step was the friends. Whether we influenced them or we were influenced by them. But
it was not a healthy relationship. What is God's point in this?
Let's see God's point in this.
I wanted to share with you Ezekiel, but before, just let us make a reflection of something interesting we learn in the Bible. When God took the people out of Egypt, they were a bunch of unruly slaves. What was the first thing that God did through Moses? To give them a constitution. That's where the Ten Commandments come from. Because without rules, without regulations, humankind, society, turns into chaos. So we have established that at the end of the day, we are going to live a scripted life. We just need to consider what kind of rules we would like to follow. They have followed very bad rules that at the end of the day, they were not their terms. They were not their rules. They were the rules implied, influenced, imposed by different groups. In school, social media, friends, somehow they were living their rules. When they turned to God, they embraced God's rules. God gives us his guidelines because that's how we are going to become healthy, we are going to become successful, and we are going to turn to him. In Ezekiel chapter 20, verse 11, we find this. God saying, I gave them my statutes and informed them of my ordinations, by which if a man observes them, he will live. So God has given us his statutes and his ordinations. And when we embrace his rules, now we will live. It means now we are going to have life. While we try to live by our own rules or by the rules of social media, by the standards out there, don't deceive yourself. You are not making your own rules. You are certainly embracing someone's rules. However, when we decide to live by God's rules, we are going to find life. The life that they found, the life that I found, Toko found, and the life that you can find today. Because when we obey God's rules, his rules are very light and they bring joy and peace. Today, do you see your value?
Yes, I see my value.
Do you need to
Everything.
hang around with guys?
I don't need anything to validate that.
Do you see your purpose?
Yes, I see my purpose. I don't need anyone to detect my life. I don't need anyone to tell me what to do. I just live my life according to God's ways. I'm happy that way.
Toko, what is the conclusion of the matter?
Now for the conclusion of the matter.
The conclusion of the matter today is many people think they live an unscripted life, whilst when you see it's scripted, because you say that you don't want to live by rules, you don't want to follow rules. Sometimes you go to church, you're like, this church is full of rules. But when you sit down and think, you are following rules. It doesn't matter even if it's at home there are rules, And then sometimes you follow rules on social media. There are people who are influencing you, so meaning that you are following their rules. So it doesn't matter, even if you say you do not want, but in fact, you are just following rules. But the choice is ours to make. Which rules do you want to follow? God's rules or your own rules or the rules of the world? Because people sometimes, they follow the standard of the world. The world dictates the way they should live. So the choice is yours. You have to make a choice.
And we hope you make this choice today. Before we go, this is the final moments of June, the Youth Month in South Africa. Next week, we are back with very interesting topics, for all ages. But before we go, we are going to call PJ and Tali. They are just going to show a little bit more of our event in Soweto, and they, of course, will pray for the youth of South Africa. PJ and Tali, it's with you.
What does Youth Day mean to you? Youth Day in South Africa is a day set aside to honor the bravery and sacrifice of the young people who participated in the Soweto uprising, as well as to celebrate all young people. Due to the introduction of mandatory Afrikaans instruction in high schools, students in Soweto held a peaceful march on June 16, 1976. They were also afflicted by how inferior and prejudiced black education was. On that morning, anything from 5,000 and 20,000 students left their classrooms and marched towards Orlando Stadium. Police constructed a barrier along the path and ordered the gathering to disperse. Police opened fire on unarmed marchers without warning. One of the first victims was Hector Peterson, aged 13, who was picked up and carried by his classmate Mbuyisa Makubu, while his sister Antoinette ran with him to a nearby clinic. The incident escalated in full-blown clashes as police continued to open fire on protesters. Therefore, protesters began rioting against apartheid symbols such as government buildings and vehicles. On this day, we remember the brave young people who fought and died for educational freedom, not racial oppression. Derived from such a tragic event, the holiday is more than just a celebration of the youth.
By now! By now! By now! By now!
This day, we remind the youth that they are made for more. Take a look at the days leading to the event.
What's good, YPG Fam and everybody who's watching this live. As you can see, it's special. The Youth Month is about to begin. As you know, today is the 28th. This month goes until? 31st. 31, eh? So, 3 days to go. Let's exclude today. And we are officially in our month.
The YPG Fam. We will always be able to achieve great things in life.
School visit for you guys to have an idea of how many learners are here. Look how big the school is. We're going to be inviting them, obviously, for the M for M.
And I want to know if in this school you guys are ready to win the first place trophy.
Currently very busy with the work in preps for our June 16 event.
What's good, everybody? Yeah, better lighting. Yeah. They're the guys working out here. We out here.
What's up, YPG family? And we are reporting live from Soweto at the most anticipated event of the year. Made for more, #M4M. As you can see behind me, our guests are still arriving. So where will you be attending the event? Let us know in the comment section down below. And remember to stay tuned for more highlights from the event. Bye for now.
Today, my strength. And just like this step ladder, which is not long enough that I could give you the example, but imagine this has 3 steps, but imagine this has 10. And if I would attempt to climb this step ladder at once, I would probably hurt myself. That's why the step ladder is one of the greatest inventions in life. It has steps. So this is how you change your life. This is how you go to the top, one step at a time. So the first step that you can take now, it is to desire to change. It can sound like little, but it is not. It's one step. Change 1% today, and 1% next week.
Maybe it's not just celebrating the youth, but also those who take time to invest in them. Bishop Marcelo shared a word of faith to encourage educators from different schools. The vibes weren't only in Joburg. The YPG took over the whole country. The Made for More movement isn't over. It's just begun. Wanna know more? Visit a YPG branch near you or DM us for more info. Call our toll-free helpline on 0800 330 320 to find a YPG branch near you.
Thank you, Miss Marcia, and to the Woman Fam. It has been an awesome 5 weeks of the YPG here.
Oh, month.
An entire month of us here in the Woman to Woman program. And I hope through the stories and the lessons which were passed in this amazing month, and these different lessons will be applied in the lives of all those who are watching us. And the different stories, the story today of Faye and Tandu, I'm sure that there are many Fays and Tandus who had a wake-up call in their lives today.
And of course, we hope, our objective is that our viewers really understand that they were made for more.
Without a doubt.
As we just started this movement.
That's what's up. We're going to wrap up here, and we were privileged with this task of wrapping the Woman to Woman month, the June, month of June in the Woman to Woman program, the youth month exactly, here with a prayer. Tali's going to go first, and I will do the amen.
Let us pray. My Lord and my Father, once again we thank you for the transformation that we have the privilege to see and to be part of in the lives of so many youth. Those who came to the Woman to Woman program and shared their experiences with the objective of reaching out to those who didn't see their potential yet. They didn't believe yet that they were made for more, as you have revealed to us. So right now, as we close the Youth Month with this program, I pray that you may touch each one of the youth who are watching us right now, and those who will watch through a link they will receive, or they are just scrolling in their Facebook page and the YouTube, and they found this program. Father, you chose them, and that's why they are watching us right now. So I pray that you may give them strength for them to fight to transform their lives as once it happened with us.
My Lord, our vision is to take the lives of the youth, not only in the YPG, but throughout South Africa and abroad, indeed to another level, and make them all to understand that they were made for more. May we have many more stories like the story of Faye, of Tandu, and all the other numerous. Lord, we wouldn't have enough people
in studio to be able to share their stories, but let there be many more whose lives are transformed, those whose lives have been an unscripted kind of lifestyle of which they think that they are large and in charge, but may they think before they act. May they think before they take any decision for the transformation of their lives. We surrender this work and the upcoming programs of the Woman to Woman as well, that each program may change and inspire their lives. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
That's it from us. But I'm sure here and there you guys are going to see us still. We always, we always invade Miss Marcia and Miss Togo, invade the program.
But
here
of
and
course, they don't need to wait for us to invade
there.
for them to watch the programs, because it's always a subject and a theme that is relevant to our lives.
All of our lives. That's it. And from us in the YPG, we are always going to another level. We're out of here.
So you are all blessed, and you have a decision to make. Which rules are you going to follow? Until next week, we are embracing July in the fast of Daniel, and we hope you are going to be with us. Until then, God bless you all. Bye-bye.
On your mark, get set, go. Life is like a race. You keep on running. You try to get as fast as possible to achieving whatever you set your mind to, but still compromise for the at least group. However, this is a special race. Have you been giving your best, or do you settle for second in everything that you do? Well, a failure remains a failure, regardless of how close to success one has actually come. A miss is as much as a mile. Let's tackle the thought of being in the at least group and how to strive to be the best and have a mindset of excellence with the Woman to Woman team. Friday at 3 p.m. Laughter.
No, there is no cut. Let's go, Nami.
Classical moments.
So I'm not sure if I can answer that or my friends can do.
Humbling.
Totally drift away from my vision, from my purpose. And God was so merciful because He saw my sincerity, though I was drifting away, but He saw my sincerity.
Impactful.
To give of yourself to your child, to listen when they speak, to listen when they are talking to you, not to shut them down, not to shout at them, not to call them names, but your presence will remain with them forever, and they will appreciate the teachings that you give to them.
Eye-opening.
But values and principles do not change at all. They stay the same. And once I know that, and once I tell myself that, and I love myself because I'm not going to compromise my salvation for somebody else, then once I love myself in that way, it will be easier for me to love others.
Do you find yourself experiencing those moments while watching the Woman to Woman programs? Well, this is our gift for you. We are announcing our Woman to Woman playlist on Facebook and YouTube. Watching Made Easy, where you can go back to the shows again and relive those moments. Enjoy.